So Reels go out to many more followers usually than any other piece of content. So part of that is because Instagram is really trying to beat TikTok. So they're pushing Reels a lot more. It's still #1 in the algorithm.
Hey everybody, here I have Corey Walker, who is the marketing specialist. And Corey, so I have watched Corey from afar. I don't know how many years. Like, honestly, it's pretty weird. I followed you for a few years on Instagram. I cannot remember how I came across you. And I think the timing was perfect because you had commented on a reel that I had done. And this was right before we decided to go into 100-day content challenge. And so you had commented, Corey, and I know you're like the Reels gal. And I know that because I just seen you like ranting about Reels for so long. And just to preface this a little bit, so Corey has actually written Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies, which I think is amazing. Just to give context to how much Corey likes Instagram. And so I guess I'm curious, what led you to just saying Instagram this is it? Like, and I'm going to write or co-author and write 2 books on this.
Yeah. Well, I had been using Instagram for my business, for my clients. And one of my friends, co-author Eric Buteau, has written a bunch of different Dummies books and other technical manuals and things like that. So he already had the connection with Wiley, who's the publisher, and they wanted to write.
Oh, it's with Wiley. That's impressive. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a major publishing house and all that. So anyway, they had wanted an Instagram for Business for Dummies book written. And so they asked him to write it, but he wasn't a subject matter expert on Instagram. He knows how to write the Dummies books because they all have sort of a similar template and voice and all of that. So he had been, watching me online for a long time, and we knew each other personally. So he reached out and said, "Would you want to co-author this with me?" So of course I said, absolutely. And so the rest is history. We also have Jen Herman on board, who is a major force in the Instagram world. So we've done 2 Instagram for Business for Dummies and 2 editions of Instagram for Dummies. This one right here is the latest Instagram for Dummies that just came out right before Christmas.
Wow. That's really awesome. I love how just opportunities kind of come from that. And so were you even before the Instagram for Dummies, were you big in Instagram already and that's why you were kind of invited to it? Is that at what point in your journey did you decide this is what I'm going to really talk about and live and breathe?
I was still early into it. So, I was definitely using it for my clients, but I'm definitely a lot more well-known after writing the book, and I use it a lot more. And so I don't know if you'd call it the cart before the horse, but it's like after you write a couple books about Instagram, you kind of have to be all in on Instagram. So I guess that's true. I shifted my focus, really, really over to Instagram.
Yeah. I've been in the marketing world for 11 years now, 2 years with my previous company, and that's where I cut my teeth in marketing, and then 9 years in our current business. And I remember when Instagram had honestly just come out, and it was I forget, it was 2011, 2012. It started getting somewhat popular. And my experience with Instagram, it has been honestly limited up to this point. And I remember when I got in, I had this great idea, and this is before I had seen anything on this. This was 2011. And I was like, I'm just going to go search hashtags and follow as many people as I can on that hashtag and get a lot of followers. And I remember when that was the strategy, and I blew up my followers to probably 18,000 people or something like that, and then of course that was a black hat strategy, right? Follow, unfollow. Yeah. And I posted a little bit, and then suddenly I stopped doing that, and all my followers started dropping off like flies. And I realized there's probably more to it than just doing that. So that is pretty much the extent of my Instagram journey. But what I've seen though is I've seen it do really well for business. Like I feel like there's this value in it that it just connects you to your end customers and the people that that you can sell to. But then like they feel, I don't know, there's this rapport building that goes on in it that I think I really enjoy.
Yeah, there's definitely a community within Instagram. I connected with some other businesses on Instagram, years and years ago, and we still look to each other for, referrals, and we cheer each other on and like each other's posts. It's not, I won't call it a pod because I'm anti Instagram pods, if you remember those from back in the day. But no, it is definitely more of a community, and I like to go out to some of the same accounts and interact with them because I like them as people. Like I feel like I really know them at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, we're here because of Instagram, which is kind of funny.
Exactly.
I found you on Instagram, and then you posted on my Instagram commented on my Instagram. We're here.
And here we are.
I think it's perfect. So what I would love to do, I think there are a lot of ways this can go because we had been talking and you have a very unique sales funnel approach to Instagram and like how you leverage different types of content.
Yes.
And it was, we didn't dive super deep. So that is something I'm interested in talking about. But what I want to kind of approach is like, if I would love to hear the sales funnel strategy you started to talk through with me from maybe like the lens of, maybe I'm an e-commerce owner that sells, let's use coffee because I love coffee. So I sell coffee, I roast my own coffee, and I'm like, I've heard, I have an Instagram account. I'm like everybody. I just went and created it and I posted a couple times. My friends and family follow me with like 20 other random people. And I really want to start leaning into this as a priority this year. I'd love to hear the strategy. And then where would you start with that?
Okay. So for people out there like this, I'm coming in cold from this coffee thing.
Okay.
So this is
What's an easier one? If there's an easier one, like apparel or t-shirts or something.
No, this is good. I can do it. Okay. So I'll give you kind of the framework first, and then I'll show you with the coffee example how you might do that. So
awesome.
When we're talking about using Instagram as a funnel, and I think most of your users are probably familiar with the funnel concept where you go to the wide audience first and then it, funnels down into a more specific target audience. So the top of the funnel is Reels. So Reels go out to many more followers usually than any other piece of content. So part of that is because Instagram is really trying to beat TikTok. So they're pushing Reels a lot more. It's still number one in the algorithm. They've pulled back a little bit on that. It was before you could post a Reel and it would just go nuts. And now that's kind of been pulled back a bit.
I missed my window. Is what you're telling me. I do have a question. So I have a question about that. I'll just raise my hand because we're on video here. So how are in Reels, and I've noticed this, and this is from an amateur that has posted like 4 Reels in the last year, and all of them, and I'm saying like all of them have, except one, have gotten traction. That's 3. That's not a whole lot. Have gotten traction. Some of them have 1,500, 2,000 likes, 500 likes, tons of DMs and saves. So I've seen this traction from it, but some of them I don't even have like hashtags in. I just literally put a one-liner and that's it. So what does the copy of a Reel have to look like? Are hashtags valuable like they once were? And what does the content within the Reel need to look like aside from the video? Okay.
So now Instagram is using a lot more SEO. So they are going to be looking at what you say. So it's great. I think in your Reels, you're talking more than using other trending audio that you're lip syncing or whatever. So if you're talking and you're talking about a different subject matter, that is included in the SEO. So make sure you sprinkle in some of those keywords. And then in your copy, you can, in your caption, you can sprinkle in a lot of those keywords as well. Make sure you have a call to action. Although today I did something completely out of the norm, and I just posted a reel, one line, no call to action, no hashtags. I just was like, this is just a good vibes reel I'm going to put out there. I don't care what happens. But normally, if you're trying to do it for business, yeah, I would put some more information with some keywords in there and some hashtags. Hashtags don't work as great as they used to, but I still think they're worth putting in there. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. You can do up to 30 on there. I don't usually do quite that many.
Ooh, that's a lot of hashtags.
That's a lot of hashtags.
That's like the spammy way I used to do it back when like you could hashtag hack everything.
Yeah. I usually do some like bullet points, and I'll go down, and then I'll do maybe like 15.
Okay.
But the other thing that Reels are doing now is they have this area called topics. So I don't know if you saw that when you were posting your Reels, but this is a little tip. So when you're on the screen, you're kind of finishing up your Reel and you're going to share it. You've already put in your caption, all of that. There's an area called topics. You click that and it allows you to put your Reel into 3 different topics. So some of them are more, some of them have more options than others. I do mine, I don't know if it's like called business, but there's like a small business. There is a commerce that you can put it in.
Really?
And
that's
like
awesome.
Entrepreneur. But then there's also like if it's a certain product type, like coffee, there might be like food and beverage, things like that. So make sure to add those topics in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the audio side of things, do you see, let's just talk about like the editing of Reels. Sorry, I'm getting kind of stuck on Reels because this is like so top of mind.
Okay.
For anyone listening, and I know we were talking about this earlier, Corey, but like, it took me I'm pretty bad at this. It took me 8 hours. I scripted 30 Reels, but they are locked tight. Like the scripts were good, under 60 seconds. And it took me 4 hours to batch record them and in here. And then now they're in post-production, and I'm just like, this is a lot of work. So we're gonna have the Hermosi, Ryan Pineda style, like we're gonna have the text on front of it. But do you find that it is like if you just post a video like that without using any of the in-app tools, is there a difference in reach that happens when you use the tools in the app, or is it more just about the content?
Well, I do think that, I mean, I don't have complete proof on this, but I think anytime with Instagram, the more of their tools that you use, the more they're going to reward you. So I think if you can do a few little, stickers or something on there that helps when you load it, they like that. They like that you're using your tool. And then they feel like if I create something, I'm usually Instagram first, which means like I will create it in Instagram. So I think that they might reward that, but I don't have, solid proof on that. But I would say if you're trying to be multiple places at once, filming it elsewhere, adding your captions, all of that, and then uploading it, into the different platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, any of those. If you're trying to be everywhere, that's good. The only thing that I think really hurts you is if, like, say you created it in TikTok, downloaded it, it has the TikTok logo on it, and you try and put it on Instagram. Instagram has said they will downgrade that video. So that's a big no-no.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll hold on my other reel. I have other Reels questions, but I want you to finish your framework before I keep interrupting you. Sorry.
Okay. So after you're done with your Reels, you're getting your information out to a big group of people. So some of those people are just going to keep scrolling, and that's fine. And then other people that are more interested in you might start going to your profile. They might like your page. So if they go to your profile, that's where you can have a little bit more information. So I'll sprinkle in the coffee thing while I'm going. Maybe that's easier.
Okay.
So in the Reels, maybe you had a reel of someone doing something with your coffee. I mean, that's an easy one. Like, here's my morning routine with XYZ coffee, or here's me making a special mocha using the beans, something like that. So it's just somebody showcasing the product in a fun way. Okay, so now the people are like, oh, that looks like good coffee. I think I want to, follow them. So then they go to your page, and this is where you can have a little bit more specifics. So you might have pictures of the packaging, and then you can say in the caption, like, our beans are organically grown in the hills of
El Dorado,
Colombia,
California,
wherever. And this is why our coffee is better for you, blah, blah, blah. So you get to know a little bit more about the product. Bonus points if you do it in a carousel versus a flat post, because carousels get more activity than a regular post. Okay, so then after you've done the posts on your feed, you can go over to stories, and this is where you could do some behind the scenes stuff. This is where people are starting to get to know you a little bit better. It's going to be your followers. So you could do, on the coffee example, showing behind the scenes of how they collect the beans and how they process the beans, or a special event that they had that used the coffee. Or you could get an influencer on there that says, this is me in the morning. I enjoy my coffee this way, blah, blah, blah.
I feel like, but real quick, if I'm a coffee person, like if I'm a roastery, which we have a pretty good amount of people that I know that have coffee roasting businesses. If I'm a roastery, every time I'm roasting coffee, I'm making Instagram stories. That's such low hanging fruit, like so easy.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so intriguing watching the process of coffee come out of the roasting drum into the bin and start spinning.
Yeah.
It's something pleasing about that. So if you roast coffee and you're listening to this, I would post that in all your pour overs.
Yeah. Do some ASMR of beans dropping or something. I don't know.
In slow motion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So stories is where they can get to know, if it's a company, a little bit more behind the scenes, a little bit more about the business, about the people behind the brand, things like that. And then finally, at the bottom of your funnel is where you could do a live. So maybe you have an influencer that comes on, they have an affiliate code to sell the coffee, and they're interacting with users live and talking about, why they chose that coffee, what their favorite coffee drinks are, and how they use the beans in it, or show them actually, crushing the beans and making an espresso mousse out of it, or, something like that. But actually selling in that live video with an affiliate code. So that's kind of how you can go down the funnel. And of course, you're going to have the fewest people are going to be on the lives, but they're also going to be the most engaged to actually show up for that live. And so that's going to be your big spot to do your sales.
So you'd almost look at like top of funnel, cold reels. You go down to maybe middle of the funnel, and in that you could probably put you put the main post, and then maybe between middle and bottom you're going to have stories, which is only for your audience for the most part, I believe, and then live, which is primarily just for your audience. Did I get that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so talk to me about cadence. Like, what's the volume of stuff that makes it worth doing? Because I know if it's like, okay, I'm going to go into the social media efforts and I'm going to post like once every 2 weeks, at that point, is it really worth doing it? Or is there like a cadence you recommend? Like if I'm starting from scratch?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're starting from scratch, if you can get in on Reels like you did with your, 30 days, that is going to get you the most bang for your buck. I will say it's not easy. Like you said, you just, hunkered down for several hours and
12
just
hours total. That was it.
Busted it out. I mean, most people won't do that. I won't do that. But if you can batch create a bunch of them, that is a great way to grow really fast. I would put other other things on your page, like I mentioned, the carousels do really well. So if I were to start from scratch, I would do a bunch of reels and carousels, and then just share some behind the scenes on my stories and share any of those. All the reels and posts that I do, I also share to stories. It's super easy to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to share, I probably share 3 to 5 stories a day. But a lot of that's just it's my content, or it's something that happened that day, or it's just something funny, like somebody else's reel that I really liked or resonated with me somehow or was funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask it. So do you see, when I remember before like saves and DMs were even an ability on posts, back when it was just comments and likes. So back in the day, comments and likes were like the metrics, and you wanted as many comments as possible and likes as possible. Has it moved? Because I've heard this, but I don't have anything to prove it. Has it moved to where like there's an increase in reach in the algorithm when there are DMs or post saves associated with? Because I look at some of my insights, and like I just did a random off the cuff reel last week, and I had like 60 post saves and 25 to 30 DMs, and it got some really good traction. But I posted another one the other day, and it was like it had like 3 DMs and like 1 comment, and that was it, and it didn't get very far.
Yeah. I mean, I think really any positive interaction and a save, a comment, a like, DMs, when someone shares your post to stories and saves, they're all, they're all positive things that are happening. So Instagram will take into account all of that. I don't know if it weighs any heavier, saves, but it's definitely going to be looking at those saves and saying like, hey, 60 people saved this video. It must be some good content that people value. So we're going to show it more. So I've definitely been looking a lot more at my insights. And if something has a lot of saves, I think, okay, so they really like that. Now, was it about, what content I was sharing in terms of like the actual tips? Was it something about, I don't know, the hashtag? I try and investigate what is it about that made them save that. And then I try to replicate that content in some other way, like use the information from that to make more content. Or I just say, okay, well, this is a good one to run again in like 6 weeks.
Okay. So I guess my last question here, how do you measure success with Instagram?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say growth. So if you are seeing a lot more, well, it kind of depends what your end goal is, I guess. But I'm like right now, I'm interested in growing my following a lot more because I'm trying to do more digital products, and I just want more eyes on my content. So I'm watching my growth follower count, which a lot of people will. That's unpopular position because they're like, oh, follower count shouldn't matter, but when you're first trying to get as much information as possible out there to try and sell some products, it is going to help you to have more followers, unless you want to invest in all sorts of ads and things like that. So yes. So for me, it's follower growth. It's how much engagement and how much growth on engagement I'm getting on my different content pieces. And then now that I am doing some more digital products, it's the end of the line, like how many people are clicking over to my link in bio and buying my products. So as that number grows, I'm happy.
I used to have this thought process that like the only thing that matters at the bottom is bottom line sales from things. And my perspective has kind of shifted on social. And I used to always say like, followers are more vanity, which there's a lot of that. Like you can go buy followers for vanity's sake.
Well, yeah.
But if you're genuinely creating content, your audience is growing, then it means you're creating relevant stuff that is impacting people enough for them to click to your profile and say, I want to follow you and get more content here.
Exactly.
So as we kind of are diving into social this year, we've been a paid ads email company for so long that we decided this year we're leaning into it. I'm glad you said those because I'm in alignment with those. The 2 core metrics we've decided to track our follower growth, and accounts reached is the other one too. It shows that we're in front of more and more people. We're hitting the algorithm, and that shows that we hit the algorithm in a nice way that resonates. And then when we get followers, it means that the content resonates enough from the viewership in the algorithm that they want to follow us.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Corey, thank you for hanging out. This is perfect timing because I know we just started our 100-day content challenge, and I know a ton of people have joined us in this. If you guys aren't on Instagram and doing the things that Corey just said, you need to do that. Actually, what you should do, go follow her. And you can follow her on Instagram at Corey, C-O-R-E-Y-C Walker. Corey C. Walker. Go check out Corey on Instagram. I know I follow her there. She posts reels all the time, and she also posts a ton of things on things like Chat GPT that we were just talking about, but we didn't really dive into. So, Corey, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Of course. Hey, have a good one.